and welcome to another episode of Hepburn's In Conversation with Amazing Australian Women. I'm Sushmita Sharma, and I'm very excited today because I have another amazing woman with us. Her name is Georgina Pazzi, and she is a specialist education and well-being consultant in Edumazing. So let's welcome Georgina and find out how her experience has been in this industry. Hi, Georgina, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Sushmita? Thank you for today.
Very well. Thank you so much for joining us today. And my first question to you is just tell us about your experience in the education industry.
Wow, where do I begin? It began a long time ago. I started off in a school that was probably one of the most disadvantaged in Melbourne, but for me it was the most amazing and rewarding experience. I actually believe every teacher should work in a school where children face a lot of challenges in their lives. And also it builds that love of teaching even more and understanding the whole child and what they really need in their lives, I think. And I think that was my foundation to where I am today, just working with those beautiful young children that needed all the love and support in the world. To this day, I still connect with those beautiful children that I first worked with in my career. I just absolutely loved working with them. And they taught me a lot about what is needed in learning and what is needed in education, I think, at that time. And then throughout the years, I obviously worked in other areas with other children that may not have been disadvantaged in terms of their home life, but there are other issues that they faced in their lives too that I supported them with as well. And I worked with amazing educators along the way that taught me a lot of things too. So it's been a long time in education.
That's very generous of you, and it shows your dedication to the industry. And
Yes.
my next question, was there a particular reason why you chose to be an education consultant?
Actually, that's an interesting question because when I thought of becoming a teacher, everything fell into place for me. And I actually look back at when in my childhood, I actually loved playing teachers, and I also wanted to be the teacher and played with my friends when we were little, and and living where we lived, and it was just I think it was just in my being, and even loving going to school and going to a diverse range of schools too. And I was actually, one school that I went to in the 70s that started was Collingwood Education Centre, which is now known as Collingwood College. And it was so, for the time in the 70s, it was so out there as a school, and it taught me the different ways that we can learn in environments, even as a student, and how it had the open classrooms, and we had things that you wouldn't see in a school at that time, and also the arts was really strong, and physical education and all those other things that made us whole. And that to me was a really empowering experience as a learner growing up. The other part was being in a multicultural setting too. So through that, I loved working with other cultures and having friends of different cultures. And that was really prominent for me in my life as well. And as I grew up, being involved in education in my schooling, on junior school council, and just having a say in life and having a voice, and the importance of voice. And then when it came to deciding my career, I remember sitting in the library in year 12, and one of my friends said teaching. And as soon as I heard that word, I just thought, that's it. That's who I am. That's who I've always been. And I want to help children. I want to make this world a better place. And even for me, through all my life in different areas that I've lived in, and seeing hardship around me and disadvantage. And I just thought, no, I want to do something. I want to be a teacher. And then going into university, I never looked back. And I realised the more I studied teaching, the more I worked in teaching, the more I worked with the most beautiful children and teachers. It just became a love and a passion and a calling, I think, in some ways too. And so, and I worked in different classrooms, different types of schools, and more advantaged schools, more disadvantaged schools. It just allowed me to see that it doesn't matter who a child is. It doesn't matter where their background is. What matters is that you help them in the most powerful way to be the best they can be in the world. And so everything I did was about giving children a love of learning, letting them know it doesn't matter what their circumstances are, they have the power to make those circumstances better. And so, for me, it just was a natural part of who I am. And it was interesting, I didn't realise, but my mother wanted to be a teacher many years ago in Greece. And she actually finished secondary school, which is very unusual in those times. And I think her love of learning was also instilled in me as well. So I think that part of it in family was also part of my initiation into the importance of learning in my life. So yeah, I have never looked back. It's the calling that I've had in life, and it's what I'll live and breathe till the day I die. That's to me a very important thing. And just working with the people I work with now, it's just phenomenal where it's taken me and the people I've met throughout my life.
That's really wonderful and such an inspiring story, especially for me. Like I think I want to be a teacher now.
Oh, look, yes. So that's the thing too. A lot of people are put off teaching. And I say, no, if you've got it in you, if this is really what you want to do and you want to make a difference to young people's lives, then do it. It is worth doing, and
Absolutely.
do it for that reason. Yeah, not the holidays, because they don't actually exist, because teachers work so many hours. They need the holidays to make up the hours that they've lost, because they are a profession. And I think through COVID, we've seen the importance of teachers and the difference they make, and parents, struggling at home and having all the challenges they face, they can see what it might be like in a classroom. So yeah, teachers are amazing human beings in this world, and we are the difference.
Absolutely. No disagreement at all.
Yes.
So you've touched on so many points, and I have so many follow-up questions, but I'm going to go one by one. So you spoke about dealing with different backgrounds, like culturally or even by age. Like you're dealing with such a diverse demographic on a daily basis, with teachers, with students every day. So would you describe any challenges that you face in your daily life, like when you're dealing with different students, different teachers, at different ages, different mindsets, different cultures? Any kind of challenges do you face?
That's an interesting one. I think for me, I don't see working with children as a challenge at all. I never have. And I see that they have challenges in their lives. And for me, it's like finding what we call the why. Why is this child facing these challenges? And to me, it's I have an opportunity and obligation as an educator to make sure I support them to break through those challenges. And and it's all about thinking differently and not really focusing on content. And I think that's the challenge in education, that we focus too much on ticking boxes and content, and okay, let's now teach them this skill and that skill. But we've got to step back. The challenge is not it's not the child, it's the way we're working with children. And I think for me that's been huge in my entire career, knowing the why. And I think it led me to holistic learning. So understanding a child holistically. And so that led me to human literacy and the research I did around that. And human literacy is about understanding myself and using that to transform my learning and my life. So how do I support that child to understand who they are, to value who they are, to understand that they can get through the challenges that they face, and to know what they are to be able to work on them as well? To me, that's a challenge, but an opportunity. And I think in my entire career, it's been rewarding, but also it's been a challenge sometimes to break through to teachers that don't see that they don't actually understand that it's not about content, it is about the learner. And finding ways to work with them at their point of need, just in time, not fill them with all this stuff that they don't need just in case. And for me, so it's more a systemic challenge than it is at ground level working in schools, looking at the system of education and how it needs to evolve into what we need today, not what we had yesterday. That to me is the real challenge. And just breaking through to educators to make them realise, if you know the whole child, everything else falls into place. If you support this learner with the opportunity to love who they are, love where they're from, love where they're going, and know that they have the power in their hands to make choices that are going to improve their lives. You know, we're not going to see all the mental health issues. We're not going to see all the challenges they're facing in their lives, because as educators, we haven't given them the building blocks of life. You know, we've only given them content, and that isn't going to be enough for them. So for me, the challenge is the system, not us trying to make a difference in it, and really, really looking at having a holistic way of teaching, a holistic way of learning, and so that when a child leaves school, they're ready for life. They're not all of a sudden going to, you know, it's like going to the school gate, you leave life alone, leave it at the school gate, go in and learn whatever. Then on the way, you pick life up. No, life happens in a school, out of a school. And at the end, if a child can say, I'm ready to take on the world, I'm ready to go, you know, to a job or to uni or whatever it is I want to do, I've got the capacity to do that. And I've been given the skills to do that. I know who I am as a learner, and I know what I can offer the world. To me, that is what's important. And our challenge is changing the system to realise that children are not a box you've got to tick, or, you know, that they're a certain way. They are so diverse. They are beautiful in the cultures that they bring. And the other part is, and I think COVID has brought this up, that to be interdependent, I think, is another powerful part of this, that we need to teach children that we all are part of one, that we all need to work together, that what I do affects you and affects me. And so we need to teach them those life skills that allow them to be happy, effective citizens, no matter who they work with, whatever culture, whatever situation, having the compassion to be able to connect with people, and the respect, knowing how to disagree, and doing it respectfully. I think all of these things to me are what we need to be looking at and fostering. And my excitement in education at the moment is it's starting to actually surface now. Schools and systems are starting to see that wellbeing has to be there, that these skills have to be there. I knew this a long time ago. I did this a long time ago. I worked with others a long time ago. And it makes me, I suppose, optimistic that finally we're starting to see this come into place, and we need to keep going in that direction and not go backwards to standardization and all the things that have really killed education and the ability for children to prosper no matter what their background is.
That's beautifully put. And I think you have just highlighted the underlying importance of compassion and empathy, especially with kids, because, you know, when they're growing up, that's when you can actually nurture their upbringing, and the way that they are treated in their childhood is how they're supposed to behave when they grow up. And not just with kids, and especially like in times like COVID, I think it's very important for everybody to understand the other person's perspective before they react on what they're saying or doing. So yes. I think you beautifully put the power of compassion and empathy. So that brings me to my next question. Is there a change in the world that you would like to bring on your own?
I think that was part of the answer I gave before. The change I want to see is that we are united, not just in as a country, but as a world. That we do value whatever other countries bring and whatever other cultures bring, and we work together collectively rather than competitively. I think for me, when I look at, you know, the word competition, I think it's so externalized that we're seeking something that I don't think we'll ever get to, because things change all the time. But if we look at a culture throughout the world of cooperation, interdependence, you know, and really putting an emphasis on education far more, and health, I think they're the two things that are really, really important. And also looking at cultures in the world, I believe too, that have been disadvantaged for many years. You know, I look at Indigenous communities throughout the world as a strength. We have so much to learn from them in terms of their understanding of what is important in life, the land, you know, the nature, the beauty of who we are as human beings, that we have a lot to learn. And so if we can go back to that and learn and work together and support them in their culture to grow their culture, rather than making them feel like they have to change to be like others, but being who they are and true to who they are and working collectively, I think would be absolutely amazing. And working with young people to foster that in for the future as well is really, really powerful. And I've been privileged to work with children from all sorts of backgrounds, and all sorts of socioeconomic circumstances, because all of them are important and all of them will shape our future. So if we can support them to make a better world, I think we are heading in the right direction. And so for me, that's where we need to be heading. And that's what I'm hoping in the work that we do. We'll be able to reach out to these children to allow them to know that they matter. And right now, I actually believe the children of today have seen what's been going on through COVID and through leaders of this world that haven't really led the way they need to lead, and those that have. And even looking at women as leaders as too, and the strengths that they've brought to leadership in politics as well, and realising what is it that I want in life. And I'm hoping by the time they're adults, all this experience that they've seen and everything that they've been immersed in will help them to be compassionate, empathetic, get out there in the world and start uniting everybody. We shouldn't just be uniting a country, we should be uniting the world.
That's truly inspiring. And I think that's the main reason why we chose to do this series, so that we can speak to these amazing people and women like you to inspire other people. So that brings me to my next question. Who inspires you?
Who inspires me? Oh my goodness, that's a really good question. Do you know, I'm not going to say one or two people, because to me, I can be inspired by a child that I work with. Just by something that they might say. Yeah, it's not to me a particular person. It's what the person does and says, and feels too. So I'm inspired by anyone that I meet, anything that I read, anything that I view, where someone is actually coming from their heart, talking about things that they love. They're talking about something that they've done, and even something they did that was wrong, but they made it right. And so it can be anyone of any age group. It doesn't have to be someone prominent out there that's written bestsellers. It can just be someone I might walk in, along the street. When I remember when I was going to uni and, sitting on a train and I'm meeting people and just talking to them, and they tell me about their lives, and it might be an older person who has so much wisdom I can learn from, or a child that just makes me laugh because they did something really funny. To me, it's about being open to people, ordinary people, that through what they say have done something extraordinary. And that to me is what inspires me.
Really beautiful. And you said that people who learn from their mistakes, and you implied that people who learn from their mistakes inspire you. So would you say that there are any kind of failures in your life that you learned from, and would you like to share them with us?
Failures, okay. Oh, that's a tough question, isn't it? Because I think we all fail and we all succeed from them if we choose to. So for me, every failure, I think if we don't do something about it, it's a failure. But if we do something about it, it actually becomes a success. And for me, oh, wow. I'm just trying to think. One thing, when I sought to leave education and I left it in terms of my working in a school and going out in the community and starting a business. And initially I thought I didn't want a business. I thought, there was this thing about businesses being all about profit, all about money. And I think there's a stigma in education too. That's what people think. And I thought, oh, I'll do it as a not-for-profit. And I was told, no, Georgina, it's too expensive. So I was forced to make a business. And I felt, oh my goodness, I'm going to fail at this because I don't know anything about business. I'm an educator. And to me, all the failures that happened along the way were my learning. you know, whether it was recruiting people. And when I was recruiting people, I was looking at what I could help them with. And I realized in the end that that's not a good thing, because if I'm just looking at helping the person, what am I doing in terms of growing a business? So, and I realized from that it had to be a two-way transaction, that they're coming in passionate about young people and wanting to make a difference. And then me saying, well, then how can I support you along in your journey in life too? So, you know, I think the failures of learning as a businesswoman along the way have been my greatest successes. And learning to recruit people that come with heart, that want to make a difference in the world. You know, that was really important. But one thing it taught me was that business, when you make it for people, and when your people are your biggest asset, everything else follows. And so, profit is one thing, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to make a difference. That comes after. And so, yeah, so the failure and understanding of business made me realize, hey, business can be a hard place. Business can make a difference. Business isn't about money as such in that visual that I had. It's actually about making a difference. And so for me, the failure in my thinking became a realization that, hey, it's up to me what the business is. It's not what defines, business by someone else's standards. So me, they're the teachings I suppose I've had that have been really huge as well. Yeah. And even, through COVID, we had to make a decision to leave our premises, and I thought, oh my goodness, have I failed here? But we had to, because we couldn't sustain leasing a place. And I realised, but hang on, is that a failure? No. What have we done? We haven't sat down and felt like we failed. We've made the best of the decision. So now we're online. We're working with people around the world where, it's brought us a new opportunity. I can still connect with children and their families online, until one day we do have premises again. So it wasn't a failure. It was actually a success. It allowed us to get out there in a different way. So I think, to me, it's all about looking at, even if something's difficult, you're looking at an opportunity to make it better. So that, to me, is the failure, but that becomes a success. So that's what I suppose I've experienced. Yes.
You gave out two really beautiful points. One is to learn from your experiences, learn from your failures, and to every problem there is a solution. You just need to find it. And the second is that for every education provider, I think it's really important for them to not treat education as a business. And I'm just really glad that you didn't take that decision. So I wouldn't call it a failure at all. Yep.
Yeah. And also the other thing I found too was B corporations in the world. I'm not sure if you've heard of B corporations before. We're actually a B corporation too, because in the process of having a business, I came across B corporations. So I thought, oh, what are they? And everything I read was about who we are, making a better difference in the world. And you can be for profit, but you're for the difference and having a social environmental impact. And we got audited, they went through everything that we did to become a B Corp, and being part of that movement in the world, I think, is really, really powerful. So having businesses in the world stand up and look at the ethics of business, look at the ethics of what they're doing, I think that was hugely powerful in all of this too. And I would encourage any business to be audited so that they know what can they do in their business to make sure that they are making a difference. They are environmentally ethical, socially ethical. And I think that, to me, is going to be a huge difference moving forward on our planet as well, having businesses making better decisions about their people. And so for us, it was like, wow, this is so fitting beautifully to who we are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Brings me to my next point. You talked about so many different challenges, and I can understand that dealing with teachers and students, it requires a lot of patience. So in your everyday life, how do you find the motivation and the strength to persevere?
Actually, I don't find that challenging at all. I find it very easy. When you can wake up in the morning and that things that you can do to help others to make a difference in their lives is what you're doing each day, it's not a challenge at all. It's to me, it's an honor. It's a privilege to work with people. It's what I've been designed for. And yeah, for me, getting up every morning and knowing I'm connecting to people like you, and and if this helps somebody in their lives, fantastic. That to me is just amazing. And I just don't, I don't look at life like that. I look at life as every moment of a life counts. And I think, when I go back to the sadness in my life, losing my brother 12 years ago was massive for me. But this is where this all started, that, that gave me the leverage to get out in the community, because he always said to me, Georgina, you're more than a school. You've got to get out there in the community. And I remember being in his business, in his premises, and we had to obviously dismantle his business after he passed away. And it was like his voice was saying, you can do this, come on, change, get out there. And it took me a few months, and then I realized he was right. And I could have at that point in my life really gone downhill, because it's so easy to do when you lose someone so powerful. I mean, if you ever met my brother, he was just larger than life. But he made me realize that, no, I'm going to keep going in life, and his legacy will help me. And so I get up every day, and if I can make that child's life better, if I can just say one little thing, do one little thing, work with an educator, everything else follows. Yeah, sorry, it's a teary one there, but
no,
that's what led me to it. Yeah, it's beautiful to you face a lot of challenges in life when you lose the people you love, but if you can use that as your motivation to get up every morning and know you can make a difference, know they're there with you, yeah, it's a beautiful day.
That's the power of perception, how you see the toughest challenges of life and turn them to the biggest opportunities. I think that's you've wonderfully done that in your life.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to some lighter note and talk about what you're most passionate about in life.
I'm most passionate about education and well-being. That's who I am. That's what I stand for, and I need to be together in everything that happens. That is what I'm passionate about, and we did it human literacy. I think if we don't understand who we are and understand the strengths we have and what we come into this world with, the gift that we have, we're not going to make the best of our lives. And it doesn't matter where we are in life, doesn't matter what struggles we have a choice. As human beings, we have a choice. We can choose to allow that to get to us, or we can choose to let it empower us to be better. And so for me, I really do believe that the passion we could have within us in for me, it's education and well-being, but for you, it may be, journalism or something else, because that makes a difference in some way. Yeah. And so for me, and I know when I present, people say how passionate I am, because I truly love what I do. I truly love talking about learning. I truly love talking about children and the amazing leaders and educators I work with. It's in my DNA. And if that, like I said, if I can make a difference to one person that day or that week, it was worth doing. So yeah, so my passion is that, it's in my heart. Yeah. So
I think you're already making so much of a big difference just by being here, because I'm truly sure that our viewers would be so inspired by what you're saying.
Thank you. Thank you. And no matter where they are, I would say to them, yes, life is tough sometimes. Yes, it throws you curveballs. Yes, someone may have said something that's upset you. But at the end of the day, your mind and your heart are the two most important things you have. And if you connect them and you keep going and finding something, that will uplift you, that will allow you to move forward, then do it, because you're worth it. Every human being on this planet is worth it. And we can make that difference if we choose to.
That's exactly what we need in this world.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about something related to human literacy and business. How would you say that human literacy helps women in business?
Oh, human literacy helps everybody. Human literacy is there's 5 elements of human literacy. There's the social. Okay, so that's developing relationships with others, okay, which is hugely important. Obviously, in business, relationships are everything. Okay. And I think as women, that comes innately within us to develop those beautiful relationships with others around us. And even, we see it in politics too. It's just something that we're grounded with. And I still believe men can do it too on their feminine side, to be able to connect socially with others. So I think that building of positive, genuine relationships, genuine interest in other people, that it's not a selfish interest, it's a genuine interest. I think that's huge. The other one is the physical. And, and physical comes in two parts: physical body and physical surroundings, our environment. So in a business sense, the physical side is looking after ourselves, making sure we get out there, get some fresh air, eat well, sleep well. And I know as women that can be tough sometimes too, because we have that nurturing aspect that everyone else comes first. But, and that's something, we talk about failures. And I think for me too, that's been a tough one, because, having a business and wanting to work and support others can come sometimes at a health part of it. It can deplete you too, because you're so busy trying to help others. And I think that physical side's massive, and looking after your well-being in the physical realm, and also what you eat too. And we've been doing a lot of research lately between gut health and mental health, and the connection between two. And I'm looking forward to sharing mindset intelligence later on with how that all works too, which is something that we're addressing. The environment's also important. What are you waking up to every morning? What's around you? Where you work, no matter where it is, are you surrounding yourself in a place that nurtures your soul, nurtures your mind, fills you with smiles? Are you surrounding yourself with nature? So that environment is huge in our prosperity and in our enablement in business as well, to be able to be the best we can be. Then we have the intellectual. They're the skills behind business. So, and for me, it's been a journey, because I've come from education to business. So ensuring you're reading, ensuring that you are continually looking at ways that you can support yourself and nurture yourself with the tools and skills that are needed in business. Hugely important. And also connecting to resources such as people that can inspire you, teach you to be better in business as well. And then the cultural's a really important one, the C, the cultural. So the spice elements, we call them. And the C is the mindset. Even though you have a culture and identity, behind that will be beliefs, values, attitudes, and mindset. So you've got to really nurture that as well as part of you as well. What is my mindset when I do something? What is my attitude towards this? What do I really believe? Do I need to shift that belief because it's not working for me in business and working for others as well? So that is the one I look at first, because I believe if you don't have the strength in mind and the belief in who you are and who others are, everything else fails. So having that mindset is hugely important in everything that we do, and the physical, obviously, that goes with it. And then there's the emotional, the understanding that, hey, sometimes things aren't that good emotionally, and accepting the fact I'm not feeling good right now, and understanding how to regulate that and how to work with the emotions so that compassion's still there and that empathy's still there, but and bringing and emotional intelligence into it as well, that connects with the social as well. So having that emotional strength and not seeing it as a weakness. I think those 5 elements are the whole of who we are. And that is what allows us in business, if we use human literacy in business. If I am reflecting daily on how I'm going, I could even have, I've got a little book called You Make My Heart Smile, writing down each day, what's one great thing that I did? And reflecting, this is really important in all of this. If I don't find the time as a businesswoman or any woman to actually stop, pause and reflect on what I've done, how I'm going, how others are going, and recharge my soul to know, hey, I really need to improve this. This didn't quite work. If we don't spend the time reflecting, getting to know ourselves deeper, even the dark side of us sometimes, we're never going to improve the way we can. We're never going to resolve any conflict that might come our way. We're never going to understand our part in it and be self-aware. So with human literacy comes that understanding. And if I can see the whole of me as a businesswoman, then I'm going to strengthen who I am even more in my life, and what I do with others and in their journey as well. Yes.
That's very insightful. But I think the main challenge that every woman faces is time. And
Time.
that's why I'm asking you, do you have any tips of how you practice this introspection and reflection on your personal journey in your daily life?
It's about booking yourself in. Okay. So it's, if you can have time, like I've made time here and you've made time here, we've agendaed it in, we're here today. Have you got on your timetable a time for you, a time to reflect? Okay. To me, that you've got to book it in. That's what it is. And even the night before you even go to sleep, what have you got ready for the next day? Be I think, managing your time. And even for me, that's been a challenge too, because I'm so open to others. Their time can really take my time because I care so much. And it's just like saying, no, but this is a non-negotiable time. This is a time. It's a me time, but it's actually a we time. Because if I'm making time for me, I'm making time for everyone around me. Because I'm reflecting on how I can do something better, or how something didn't work, and understanding why it didn't work. Because next time I see you, I will have unpacked that to be better for you the next time. So I'm investing in me and investing in my time and connection with you. So it's about booking yourself in. I think that to me is really important in the struggles that we have with time. And I think even in education, talking to educators, I always say, where's your mastery journal? Where do you have time to sit and reflect on you? And I'll ask them questions. This is really interesting. I'll ask the audience, who has got a reflection journal? And I would honestly say to you, only maybe 10% will put their hand up. Everyone needs to put their hand up. This is something we really need to get better at as human beings. I think COVID was great because it allowed us to pause. What did we learn from that? What did we do to find out about who we were? Because we had that time. Did we make the most of it? And if you don't do it, what happens? You keep repeating your mistakes because you're not learning from them at all. So that pause time and booking it in, book yourself in, is what I would say. Yeah.
Well, there's a great message for our viewers. Just maybe your next Christmas gift, to buy yourself a journal and actually write things down. Book time for yourself and have some me time. And it's great that you mentioned me time, because Hepburn magazine was actually made for women to indulge in their me time, and for the magazine to partner with them in that me time. So my next question to you is, how do you spend some me time? Like, what does me time mean to you?
Me time would be a stroll along the beach.
Wow.
Because for me, I just love walking along the beach, being in nature. It's interesting. People think, oh yeah, but you're not doing any work, or it's not constructive. I actually find being in nature and switching off, and just having a mindful walk actually helps my learning and helps my work, because sometimes an idea just comes in out of the blue and I think, I'll solve a problem that I may have been struggling with. So, to me, that is a beautiful time. Meditation obviously would be another one. And music, love my music. It just, really, really, and my music is very diverse. It could be classical music, or it could be just pop music and just, bopping around the house and doing, and sometimes, what, my husband will love me for saying this, doing the housework, doing just, just physical work where I'm not using my mind, but it actually is quite nurturing. With music on, it's even better. But they're the things I like to do that are very simple, and because I live near the water, that was one thing I did want in my life, to live near the beach, and we did that. There's no excuses. I need to be able to get out there and enjoy the very thing I came here for. So that I think is important. And also switching off gadgets. It's like, you don't have your phone on answering calls while you're going for a walk, that you've got to switch off. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's exactly where I want to leave our readers at, to have some me time and switch off your devices, have some detox, and just enjoy life. So my last question to you, Georgina, is do you have any message that you would like to convey to our viewers before we say goodbye?
I just want them to know that no matter what their circumstances are right now, that they have the power in their hands to make it better. That with every failure that they may have or something that hasn't gone wrong, they need to see it as an opportunity. Because I know within my heart and within my own experience that for everything that's gone wrong, something's gone right. And, you know, and they may not see it at that time, but they will eventually see that, oh my goodness, from that, look what's happened ever since. Look what, you know, made me turn another corner. And really to nurture their soul and who they are as a person and love every part of their being, because they are here in this world right now to make a difference, and they can make a difference. Even though they may feel they can't right now, they can. But the first thing is to be intentional and just say, I'll get through this. Doesn't matter how hard it is, I'll get through this. And find that me time to actually see the value that they have in themselves and to reflect and set a better a goal or a purpose for themselves for the next day. So yeah, and think holistically, obviously, with human literacy is really important too. Yes, absolutely.
That's wonderful. And on that note, I would like to say thank you to Georgina for joining us today. I really loved this conversation. And to all our viewers, we will be back with another episode. Till then, have a great time. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Shashmita. Thank you.